Hi folks, apologies for the lack of content in the past half year. I've been really busy both at work and at home, and the hobby has had to take a bit of a back seat to that. In some ways it's been an advantage, as I've been able to take stock of what I've been doing in the past and plan out what I want to do in the coming months. The main problem I have is that waiting for whisky to age, to be able to judge how well I'm performing, makes it difficult to learn at the moment. And the cost of materials and time required make it difficult to fit in with my life. The solution is to produce a product that is designed to be consumed sooner, like a neutral spirits. But instead of getting a reflux column, I intend to do this with my current still, my pot still, so that I continue to gain experience in running that better. Over the past 8 weeks, I've been fermenting a sugar wash. This is actually the Birdwatchers recipe from homedistiller.org. This is relatively cheap, just sugar, tomato paste, lemon juice and baker's yeast. The ingredients are easy to get, along with the usual weekly shopping. I reduced the amount of sugar in the batches I made to keep the fermentation and distillation in the same sort of ABV range that I use for my all grain whisky. That's about 8% ABV going into the stripping run. I know a pot still needs to do repeated distillations to clean up the spirit, but I wanted to get a baseline from this first batch to be able to compare it to future runs. So for this one, I've done a very minimal number of redistillations. For the stripping runs, I ran them a little slower to get a little less mixing of the heads and tails into the heart section. I then separated the output into 3 sections. For me, the first section was about 1 litre, a 1.5 litre middle section, and then the remainder were collected as a final section of about 1.5 to 2 litres, depending on exactly what quantities I had in each batch. What you see here are the first 2 runs in these jars. The third run was in progress when I took this shot. I put the cleaner middle section from all 3 runs to one side, then combined all the beginning and end sections together and diluted it down with an equal amount of water. That was then run as a 4th stripping run, again with a lower power than normal, dividing it into the 3 sections. So for this 4th run, I put aside the first 1.5 litres, collected 1.5 litres as a middle section, and then collected another 2 litres as the end section. The 3 middle sections from the stripping runs was combined with the double distilled middle section from the 4th run. And this was diluted with an equal volume of water to be used for a slow spirit run. This was collected in jars of 200 ml samples each and left to air out for a couple of days. I then analysed them to produce a relatively clean middle cut from those jars. But none of the jars were truly neutral. Obviously with just 2 or 3 distillations, they were never going to clean up to become a full neutral. There's still some flavour there. They had a taste to them, which made it difficult to isolate the heads or tails flavour. So not the cleanest of neutrals. My heart cut was still a nice oily texture to it, good nice mouthfeel, but it had a slight sourness. And when diluted to 40% ABV, gave me about 1.3 litres of product. I bottled 1 litre of that and put the other third of a litre to one side. To see what a wider cut would produce, I took a jar or 2 from either side of my heart cut, diluted that to 40%, and then added that to what was left of the heart cut, and kept a litre of that. So I've got 1 litre of just hearts, and then 1 litre of hearts plus a little bit of the slightly wider going into the heads and tails. Neither bottle is anywhere near what you can get from neutral vodkas from a store, but the flavour is not overpowering or offensive. So I'll store some comparisons for the next batch, and I'll use some of it with cocktails and liqueurs to see how the flavour impacts on those products. And you'll see a bit more of that in future videos. Take care folks, and I'll see you next time.